It's all your fault. No question about it. I read something fascinating in one of our videos about no fault divorce in Florida. Maybe everyone else finds it fascinating. Maybe it is just me. Here's what it is. Somebody mentioned that it is too difficult to get a divorce. That getting a divorce is tough to do because of no fault divorce. Well, in fact, that is the opposite of what is in fact true. No fault divorce is about having a divorce for almost, and this is in parentheses, of course, generally speaking, all lawyers have to say that all of the time for legal purposes, for almost any reason whatsoever. No fault divorce means that the other party does not have to be at fault. In other words, they do not have to do anything wrong. They could be the perfect husband, the perfect wife. They could try to be romantic with you 24 hours a day to your heart's content. Maybe somebody can cook you every meal you've ever wanted. Maybe somebody is a wonderful breadwinner and an amazing provider. Perhaps somebody has showered you with gifts for years upon end. Maybe somebody helps you when you used to be a single parent with your kids. Maybe one person makes sure that you have a house and puts you on the title. Any of these things can be true. The other party can be wonderful. They can be handsome, beautiful, funny, sweet, smart, a good provider, a good earner, a wonderful parent. It matters not, because you are entitled in the state of Florida, a no-fault divorce state, to obtain a divorce anytime you want. Of course, it has to be granted by the court. You have to go through the process. You have to prove some things if it is litigated about your finances and or about your parenting abilities. But there is no roadblock to getting a divorce. In other words, no fault divorce means that you do not have to prove something such as adultery. The other party does not have to have been a cheater or adulteress or committed infidelity. Again, they can be absolutely a perfect partner. Wonderful. Somebody that most of us would find to be exemplary. In almost every marriage, including those people that have stayed together forever, what do we find out? We find out that those folks discuss marriage as hard work, about compromise, about going through stuff together, figuring each other out, changing circumstances, shifting sands. Pick your metaphor. Pick your metaphorical poison. Marriage is not easy. Is it worth it? I believe so. Try not to laugh given my profession. It just happens to be my profession because my parents were divorced and it made such an enormous impact on me. And I've always wanted to be something of a beacon of hope for folks. Whether or not that may or may not be true in every case, I certainly try. But marriage to me is worth it. Marriage provides me with a family, an intact family. It provides me with somebody who is and has been for a very long time my best friend as my spouse. Does that mean that everything we do is flowery and wonderful? Of course not. We can sometimes argue over what to eat for breakfast. We can sometimes decide that we're not going somewhere on a Saturday morning because one of us has a cantankerous attitude. That's marriage. That's life. Nothing is perfect. As my grandfather used to say, the road zigzags. There is no linearity. It is not a straight line forward. But when it comes to no fault divorce, you do not have to show the other party misspent your money or is addicted to alcohol or drugs or gambling. You do not need to show that the other party has cheated on you. You do not need to show the court. You do not need to provide me with evidence of that, although it may be helpful in certain regards. You do not have to prove it. No fault means nobody has to be at fault. The marriage is just over, and it can be over for just one person. I know this can be excruciating for some of you. You might really love somebody, you've devoted your whole life to them, and suddenly they do not want to be with you. Could it be because they're suffering from something psychologically? Yes. Could it be that man or woman, it's due to some sort of hormonal change? Men get to be middle-aged too? Yes, it can. Could it be that there's been some traumatic event in somebody's life and that has impacted all of their relationships? Yes. The explanations, the potentialities are endless. But at the end of the day, Florida is no fault divorce. You do not have the burden of showing the other party has done something wrong to you. They can be perfect and yet receive your dissolution of marriage paperwork by process server. Your case is on and it has started. Is that a good idea? I leave that up to you. It is not my business. We never, ever, 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 ever encourage it. It is 100% your decision. In fact, we often do the opposite when we recommend counseling and things of that nature and ask you what's going on with your marriage, what has gone wrong, is there room for compromise, is there room for fixing it? And frankly, many of you are so smart and so wise and so patient that you call us after years of things going wrong. You wait a very long time. Many of you are such prudent people, it's astonishing and in a really wonderful way. But please understand, as hurtful as divorce is, and as hurtful as the termination of any relationship is, whether it's emotional, romantic, financial, parental, all of the above, the totality, there may be nothing nice about it, but you do not, in Florida, bear the burden of saying it's all her fault or it's all his fault. She's a biatch. He's a narcissist. Forgive the language. And the colorful words that people use to describe each other can be endless. No fault divorce means file your paperwork if that is what you choose. You do not need to have a reason that the court agrees with. Having said that, there are a couple of judges at the very end of cases, both contested and uncontested, who have tried to talk people out of getting a divorce, even in upsetting circumstances in which a divorce was actually appropriate in those cases. Judicial officers of the court use their judicial discretion in the manner that they deem appropriate. Some people find divorce to be just like anything else, a business termination, somebody cannot remain together in a friendship, an old friend is no longer a friend, a relationship dissolves, a partnership dissolves, and some people find it to be objectionable. But at the end of the day, the fact remains in the state of Florida, we are a no fault divorce state. And that means that getting a divorce here may have fewer complications, at least as far as starting the process, than may be the case in some other states where you bear the burden of proving that the other party has wronged you and therefore a divorce is justified. This has been another episode of the Best Florida Family Law Podcast. I always thank you, my listeners, for listening. We really appreciate you. We're seeing the numbers. We truly appreciate your listenership. I know that a lot of you really loved our podcast episodes and the jobs with the highest divorce rates, the jobs with the lowest divorce rates. And I'm going to try to find more and more interesting topics. I am not always going to simply talk about a certain portion of a statute or one specific case. I want to find more and more interesting topics so that everybody can continue being educated and relate to all of this, because it is a part of our social and societal fabric now, and that is something very important for everybody to learn about, to remove some of the misconceptions and also give people a sense of what it really means when two people split up. Nothing I have said here today is legal advice. This does not establish an attorney-client relationship, and I hope that you have been educated just a little bit and wrapped your mind around the whole concept of no-fault divorce. See you next time.